Welcome to the Women's Agency Podcast, where we talk business, life, and empowered women. This show is brought to you by the Women's Agency, amplifying women's voices. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. This is Arlia, and this is the Women's Agency Podcast. I'm so glad you're here. And I have a very dear friend of mine with us today. Her name is Anita Henderson. I'm going to introduce her, and then we will dive right in. Entrepreneurship wasn't always Anita's goal early in her career. She wanted the professional title, the corner office, the assistant, the fat paycheck, the expense account, and all the other benefits of corporate success. I mean, it sounds great, right? She got all that and then burned out. When the unexpected opportunity landed in her lap, she jumped at it. Entrepreneurship called out to her loud and clear. That was more than 25 years ago. Since then, she has started 2 companies, won a partnership, written several books, and dipped her toe back into corporate a few times before finally retiring from the 9-to-5 more than a decade ago. Anita has also hosted a radio show, an internet TV program, and a podcast. So she's no stranger to podcasts. Known now as the author's midwife, she now enjoys guiding C-suite execs and seasoned entrepreneurs to write, publish, and leverage their books to position themselves as authorities. As an author coach and book publishing strategist, she shares the secrets to writing and publishing a best-selling and award-worthy book through her Write Your Life author coaching program. She is the author of Becoming the Minimalist Entrepreneur, Lessons Learned from My Journey to Work Less, Earn More, and Play More. Her greatest joy as a business owner is learning from her mistakes and failures. There have been many, which means she's learned a lot. But the growth and rewards have been instrumental in making her the leader and the minimalist entrepreneur she is today. Anita, it's so glad to have you here with us.
I am glad to be here, Arlia. Thank you so much for that intro.
There are not a lot of people who would hang their hat on being a minimalist entrepreneur. I know you've had a circuitous route to the work you're doing now. Tell us about some of the key pieces that really dropped in for you that got you where you are today.
Yeah, I'll address that minimalist piece first, because I guess these days people have their own notion of what minimalist means. And we've gotten into the whole less is more, clearing the clutter, that kind of thing. And it could be that, right, to be minimalist. But when it comes to minimalism in your entrepreneurial life and journey, it's that plus, right? It's doing the most with the least. It's, managing your time well, managing your mind and your mindset well, and focusing on what really matters. And probably for me, that's been a really important thing in my journey, right? Focusing on what matters most. Yeah, you said it all in that bio. I've done it all. I've been in and out of corporate since starting my company over 25 years ago. Because for me, corporate, back in the day anyway, corporate was a safety net. It's like, oh, and if this business thing doesn't work, I can always go back and get a job, right? Like that was safety. And less so now, quite frankly, for a lot of people. But I learned as an entrepreneur that I don't have to do all the things that they say do in the same way that they say do it, and do it all at one time. So it was really stripping away a lot of things that I learned in corporate, the corporate way, that push hard and 40 hours a week working is for the lazy people. If you really want to progress, you got to do 60, 80 hours a week to really make some progress. And I brought that to my business at different stages, and it burned me out. It made me very tired. And
I've seen that a lot in people.
It makes entrepreneurship not enjoyable. It's hard. And I left corporate to escape that, and just brought it with me anyway, and didn't even realize it. And it was tiring. So that was the antithesis of minimalism.
What would you attribute your courage to say, I'm going to go do this myself. I'm going to do this for myself and work for myself? Some people would say bold. Maybe some people say reckless choice.
Well, I think most entrepreneurs, whether we admit it or are proud of it or not, we're risky. We take a risk to do this thing. Most people I know of who are solopreneurs, and even those who have grown their companies to be, as they're the founder of this entrepreneurial venture, and they may have employees or subcontractors they work with, we inherently embrace risk. It's risky to go out on your own and do your own thing. You're oftentimes using your own capital, or you are eliciting funding from those who are close to you, who sometimes and sometimes not believe in what you're doing, but they want to see you succeed. And so we take risk, and that does take some courage. Yes. I am very much the type of person who doesn't want to let myself down. Like when I make a commitment to Anita, that means a lot to me. Which is not to say that I don't value the commitments that I make to other people. But when I say I'm going to do something, it means a lot to me that I'm going to do it. Even if I have to pivot somewhere along the journey or somehow change the direction of what I'm doing, I just want to follow through and finish with what I'm doing. And that has served me well at some points in my journey. And in other times, not so much, because at some point you guys just quit doing that. So that's been a lesson I've had to learn. Sometimes, Anita, you just got to let it go, girl.
Yeah. A lot of the metaphors about beating a dead horse come to mind. But one of the things you talk about in your book is how you historically have been a planner. All the plans, all the structures, all the planning, which sounds great, but that doesn't sound like it could really work so well for a minimalist entrepreneur, juggling all of the things.
And it doesn't always. No, I have the ability, and I think it's unique, but I'm sure there are many people out there who can also, I can see the big picture of a thing and the details at the same time. Most people I talk to do one or the other really well. Like some people are super duper detailed, and other people are big picture thinkers, and that's what they focus on. I have the ability to do both. And so throughout my career, even when I was in corporate, and doing corporate communications and marketing communications, I was always able to be a planner. I could strategize, right? I want us to do all the strategy. What's our end result? What are our steps along the way? All the tactics. And then all those little details. Who needs to do what? Deadlines. Like you talk to anybody who's ever worked with me. I am deadlines and bullet points all day long. Yeah, at certain points in my entrepreneurial journey, that planning thing became a roadblock, a stumbling block, because I wanted to plan everything out. And it got to the point that I was planning so much, I wasn't doing anything. So much planning.
Yeah, I recognize that.
Yeah, so much planning, and you're not taking even one step in the direction of what you're planning for, which I learned later was the cause of many missed opportunities. Procrastination was at the core of it many times. Fear, which is the foundation of procrastination. Perfectionism, trying to do it right. It has to be perfect. I can't put out a subpar anything until it's perfect. And so in the months and years that it took to do that, I could have been not a build a plane as you fly it kind of person. I'm not that far on the spectrum, but there are times when I need to I've got these 3 steps of 12 complete. Let's go with the 3. And then we can work on number 4 and number 5 and so on as we go.
So do you have any advice for those stuck places of procrastination and fear when it's just like, there's all the planning and somehow we have to move into action?
It is knowing yourself, and it is mindset. You have to at some point sit and go, why am I still working on this same project and haven't done a thing with it? Why? I'm scared. Okay, what am I scared of? You almost have to assess yourself. You've got to give your own self some therapy or enlist a coach to figure out what the delay is about. You've got to explore it because we're in business to make money. to make a profit. And hopefully we enjoy doing what we do. And if we're not making a profit, then why are we doing the thing? Is it a hobby? Is it just something to pass the time? We have to be making progress with our business. And you're not making progress if you're in analysis paralysis. So you have to ask yourself why. Sometimes the answer is that this thing, this idea that I created that I'm working so hard on to plan really does not fall in line with what I said my ultimate goals are in my business. I've faced that too. It sounded like a great idea. Let's go after it.
Yeah.
Oh, but the Anita way is to plan it 12 steps ahead before you take one step. So then at some point, you've got to look back and say, this doesn't even fit in with what I'm supposed to be doing. But I grabbed a hold of it because they said that this is the way to do it.
They said
that those days, they're always saying something, aren't they?
They've always got something to say about the way you're doing it.
Yeah. So I had to learn not to listen to all the they says and do things my way. I've tried so many marketing strategies and tactics and different business approaches and accounting, bookkeeping strategies and time management and how to structure your quarter and your year goal setting and planning and all. I've tried a lot of things. I won't say everything, but a lot of things. And I have had to just shed it all to find the way, the one way that works for me right now. That could change next year or next decade or whatever, but I've got to figure out what works for me right now and block out what they say. Like, appreciate that that works for somebody, but it may not work for me.
I love that because I love the flexibility you're implying because you're finding what works for you and acknowledging that it may not be the same. It may not look the same tomorrow, but for now, this is what works. I want to read a snippet from your book that one of your highlights that actually we've already been talking about. You said, making a commitment to myself became more important to me than being held accountable to someone else. And that's where you're talking about, you made a commitment to yourself that this was what you wanted to do. And
yeah,
you were going to do it how it worked for you.
In corporate, when you're an employee, you need to make your superior, your boss, whatever you want to call that person, their thing that's important to them needs to be as important to you as it is to them. That's how you survive in corporate. That's how you get acknowledged and recognized and promoted and those kinds of things. You're the boss when you run your own company. And so you have to figure out what matters most to you and make that your priority. And you have to understand why that's important, what the end result should be, what you should be measuring along the way. And you should figure out how to enjoy it as you take that journey. So deciding what matters to you should matter to you.
Absolutely. We talked about what a minimalist is, but really take us through what it looks like to be a minimalist entrepreneur as you've designed it for yourself.
There's kind of 3 steps for me, or 3 areas that I focus on probably daily. And it's clarify, simplify, and focus.
Okay, that was easy.
Done. So when you clarify whatever it is, if it's a project you're working on, if it is your goal setting time, if you do the beginning of the year, mid-year kind of thing, or quarterly, whatever, you really need to be clear about what you're doing, how you want to do it, what the outcome should be. Be clear on those things. Why are you doing it anyway? And then simplify how you do it. We want to be encumbered for some reason with all these things because there's so much, whether it's digital assets or online platforms or social media or all the latest, newest gadgets. I know, right?
Okay, you were talking, yeah. You're talking to me. You really are, because it gets complicated so quickly.
There's always a new thing. By the time you finally get a hold of how this one works, they made a new one or they've changed the way it looks. And now you got to find out, how do I log in again? So when we simplify and pull back from so much in our tech stack or our calendar planning or our networking. Someone's probably rolling their eyes like, what do you mean you got to network, Anita? And we have to do all those things. We need a tech stack. We need some technology to support us. But do you need a stack this high or does that be that? Do you need to have all the things on your calendar and cram your day full of things you can't get done in one day? Simplify your calendar, your time management. And do you have to be a member of every organization that's out there? Or do you need to simplify which ones that make the most sense for you? And then the third thing is focus. So I'll take the networking thing. Focus on the groups that yield the best result for you. Focus on networking with people who are your ideal client or great referral sources. Focus on the thing that's going to help you get the biggest profit in your business, right? Not all the little things. I know so many entrepreneurs, and I've been there, so I recognize it when I see it, either online or face to face. They've got a new whatever every time. Oh, I have a new program. I've got a new course. I have a new this. I have a new that. And I'm like, just focus on a couple of things. When I learned to focus on one thing, quite frankly, that I do, my business exploded. Literally, when I stopped trying to do a course and a membership group and newsletter and all of these things. And it was like, Anita, just do the thing you really love, which is one-on-one coaching and consulting for professionals and entrepreneurs who want to use book publishing as a marketing strategy. That's it. And I feel, I think, under the they say thing, when I'm hearing all these people saying, oh, but you have to have a revenue stream that doesn't require you. I totally understand that. But my business is personal. It's based on the personal contact. And that's just the way it is.
Yeah, I'd love that you just came to that clarity for yourself. Like, this is what I do. This is what I do well. This is what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
So let's talk more about what you do with your clients and the focus you came to that is uniquely yours.
Oh, my goodness. First, it starts with knowing who my ideal client is, right? And I've worked with many of them over the years. And so I work with C-suite executives who are typically within about 5 years of retirement. They know they want to get out of there. They've made their mark. They've stamped their fingerprint on their company or their industry. And when they retire, they want to do something else. Not sit on the front porch in a rocking chair. They want to get speaking gigs, or they want to be on a board of directors, or they want to start a consulting practice. And they want to really establish what they've been known for or known as in that industry. And they want to do it with a book. They have some stories, some case stories. They have a methodology or something that they have developed, and they want to share that with people in the form of a book. The others I work with are seasoned entrepreneurs like us. They've been doing what they do for some time, and they as well have developed some approach, a system, a process that they usually want to teach. Often they want to infuse some of their own story within that book. And so I'm working with those folks who want to write memoir, instructional, self-help type books, subject matter exploration, those kinds of things. And they want to profit from what comes after the book. They understand that it's bigger than the book. So in my coaching, I help them first and foremost clear the cobwebs. People come to me and say, oh, Anita, I've been trying to write a book for 3 to 5 years and I just can't get it out. It's in there.
I bet by the time they come to you, there are a lot of cobwebs.
They're like, where do I begin? And my superpower of organizing, being able to take all this jumbly stuff and really scale it down to the most important things is what helps them get started on the right foot. So we coach through organization and structure and framework of their book. And I say we because I have an amazing team that supports my clients and me throughout the entire process. We help them when they get stuck. Writer's block is a thing. And so we help them get through that. We do editing. We have a 3-step editing process that we take our clients' manuscripts through that makes sure that everything is done well. And then, of course, we do the cover design and the interior layout and uploading to the online retailers and distribution and that kind of thing, and do some marketing as well. So soup to nuts, concept to completion with a book idea. And I love it when people come to me and say, I just have an idea. I just don't know what to do with it. And yes, I want to be published. And so we take them through that process in about a year, which is great for those who've been 5 years trying to just get it out of their head.
Yeah, a year seems like a pretty streamlined process because I know it could take much longer. So that to me says that support that you and your team provide really help, as you say, focus their process.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's been over a decade in the making, right? I didn't start doing this and it was like I knew how to make this process work. When I started my business over 2 decades ago, I was doing marketing communications, press releases and brochures and website content and all of that kind of stuff. And got burned out. I was like, if I write another press release, I'm going to scream. So I pivoted my business. And at that time, book publishing, self-publishing was a thing that was gaining traction. The entire publishing industry was going through an upheaval from newspapers to books to the whole 9 yards. And regular people like us were realizing, maybe I don't need some fancy schmancy New York publisher to like my idea and publish my book. I can do it myself. Mm-hmm. So I started in that way and developed my process as I went along. I did my research. I hobnobbed with some folks in the publishing industry, published my own book, tiptoed in with some early clients and crossed my fingers like most new entrepreneurs do. I hope they don't realize that they're my first client or my second client. And you show up as professional as you can and you give it all you got and you learn something from that one and then you go on and develop the process. So it's been over a decade in the making, that process, but it works every time for all of our clients.
How do you talked about the writer's block and the procrastination? What might be one of the things you do with one of your authors to help them over that hump?
Wow. First, I tell them that it's going to come. I try to set up realistic expectations. You'll get to the point where you'll get stuck. It's okay. The fact that we begin with a framework, a structure, an outline helps. And for a lot of my clients, they're also public speakers. So one of these strategies I tell them to use is to talk your book content out. Like you're starting with a framework. You're not just free writing willy-nilly. You know that chapter 2 is supposed to cover whatever topic. So if you're stuck writing it, turn on your recorder on your phone, go to one of the AI platforms online and just talk it out. Especially those online platforms, because it will transcribe your words in real time. In there, you've got the content, you can copy and drop it in. We'll fix it later. So for a lot of our clients, they are speakers and they are more comfortable speaking than they are writing. And so I tell them to use that skill to develop their book content.
I love that. I actually use that to my clients to help develop ideas. And I discovered that about myself, that I more naturally create verbally than I do in writing. I can write. Nuanced. Yeah. And I can write, but it is painful.
Yeah. It doesn't come naturally for everyone. And that's okay. Yeah. And that shouldn't be a deterrent for people who want to write a book. Just because you're not, I've had everybody say, oh, I'm not a good writer. I'm not a good speller. I don't organize things well. I'm not good with punctuation and sentence structure. And I'm like, relax, we got you. That's why we edit 3 different phases and we have test readers read your manuscript. None of my clients are writers. Mm-hmm. They have their own industry and their own business or career that they are great in. And they're not professional writers. So I don't expect from them. I've had maybe 2 of my clients come to me and say, I'm a pretty good writer. Everybody else is, I'm scared to death, Anita, help me. So we do.
That's such a great point. That's an important point because I think it's tempting to believe that because they've put out a book, oh, they must be a good writer. They've got good support and they've got good ideas, and the rest can be.
The rest can be supported with a good team. And that's important to know that it's a team effort. I think that a lot of people hear the word or the term self-published book and they think that the author did it all themselves.
Yeah.
And if I ever find out that an author did it all themselves, I'm probably going to be a little hesitant to pick up their book because you should do it all yourself.
Absolutely. Yeah. I had a family member with excessive self-confidence who chose to write their own book without any editor's help. So,
Yeah.
and it showed.
That's scary. And one of the part of our mission with Write Your Life is really to improve the reputation of independent book publishing. Because readers are smart. They know when you've skimped on hiring a professional cover designer, or they know when you've laid out your own book because things just they're not consistent. They know when somebody as a favor to edit your book and they're not a professional copy editor. They know when you've skimped. And it's an insult to a reader to pay $20, $25, $30 for a book and it's crappy.
Yeah.
It's a bait and switch. I want my money back. I don't even want to finish this book. It's not worth my time. So we make sure that our clients never have that experience, that everything is done top notch from start to finish.
And you have some award-winning authors.
Oh, we've had some wonderful award-winning authors. Absolutely. Bestsellers, award winners, and just people who are proud to put their name on the book. That matters because once it's out there, right? When that book is out there, it's done. And you want to be proud of the finished product.
Absolutely. There's no take back.
Yeah.
Put you on the spot here. What's your favorite part of the process? If you have one?
My favorite part of the process is, I'll say it's the beginning and the end. The beginning, because the authors come to me with some trepidation. They're nervous. And I love easing those concerns. It's going to be okay. We got you. We have a whole team of people who are here. We know what we're doing. We've done it before for a lot of people, and we got you. And then at the end, I love it because it's done. They're like, oh my God, we actually made a book together. It literally is like birthing a baby. Like people cry when they get the finished book in their hands. They're like, it was just an idea in my head 9 months ago, 12 months ago, and it's an actual book. And I'm getting reviews and people are reading it and they're loving it. Like, I love that. I talked to a client yesterday. She's close. We're finishing up the final copy edit on her book. We'll get it into layout and then we have to proofread. But she said, I can't wait. I read it and I have a few minor revisions, but Anita, I love this book. Like, I love it. And just 2 months ago, she was super frustrated. She's like, I'm so done with this. I'm over it, blah, blah, blah. But she said, I loved it. I actually love the words that I've written. And I'm like, I love it when you get to that part. I said, wait till you hold the book in your hand. You're going to cry. She's like, I know I am.
That's exciting. That's exciting.
Yeah.
What, if you can think of one, what is some advice that you were given that has really helped guide you in your life?
Oh, wow. So much advice, right? I think that, let me think, that has really helped me in business specifically.
Or life.
I've had several people in my life tell me to trust myself. Trust yourself. And I think they probably noticed in my very early years that I didn't. I was always questioning, is this the right thing to do? And I'm glad I took that advice because, again, now I trust myself and my instincts and my insights more than I trust most people's. So trust yourself is good advice. It was great for me in life and in business. So many things come at you to make you second guess yourself, to make you question, to make you fear and doubt and wonder if you're doing the right thing. And that makes you stuck, right? That makes you afraid to fail and afraid to succeed. You're afraid to fail because what does it look like? And you've gone through all this and you ended up with not the result you wanted. So we're afraid of failure, which is actually a natural thing in life. Sometimes, too, we're afraid to succeed because for me, my thing was, how am I going to top my last best? If I was so good at that thing, now I got to beat that. And I don't know if I can. So I'm afraid of success. So I've been through both of those and I've learned to trust myself. Just do it, Anita.
Yeah.
Do it with what you know.
Yeah, you talk in your book about you had a number of things you would call failures through your life.
Yeah. And they made me. They made me who I am. And they're good.
Anita, I thank you so much for being here with us and really sharing your wisdom gained over the years and what an author's coach is and what you do. How can people find you and find out more about you and your work?
You can find me at writeyourlife.net, like you write your book, writeyourlife.net. And on that website, you can click the link. I think it says Let's Chat. If you'd like to talk about your book idea and how we can help you bring it to life, we'll do a book strategy session. It's absolutely free. And we can talk about your book idea. If you're interested in purchasing my book, Becoming the Minimalist Entrepreneur, you can go on Amazon or go to the library or go to a local community bookstore to purchase it anywhere you buy books. Becoming the Minimalist Entrepreneur.
Beautiful. Anita, thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me, Arlia.
This is Arlia with the Women's Agency. We interview women and find out about their professional lives, the lessons they've learned along the way, and the courage to have become who they are. This podcast is sponsored by the Women's Agency, full service podcast production and coaching in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm Arlia Hoffman. We'll see you here again next time on the Women's Agency. Thanks for joining us. This program is brought to you by the Women's Agency, a full-service podcast production and coaching firm in Atlanta, Georgia. Visit thewomensagency.com for more.